your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas.
Wait, jingle bells all the way. Hey, all your heels gonna make that shake. Shake. Got about 3 hoes on my slip. I'm trying to tee up Christmas Day. Want you jingle bells all the way. Hey, got them bells all on the shake. Hey, got about 3 hoes all the way. Hey, got about 3 hoes in my slip. Hey, legs up, Hello Kitty. Hell yeah, I'm in the pool. Oh yeah, it's coming season. Hell yeah, heard you got a man. Yeah, tell them get spread up. I'm in the spirit. Yeah, who's it? Say it now.
I don't play.
Legs up,
See my face.
hell yeah.
Have a seat.
Well, it's been a long time now since I've seen your smile.
Yeah.
And
Hey, great morning, each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for being on. My name is Coach Frank Sagasa, and I'm honored, privileged, and blessed to be with you. Welcome to No Sugar in My Coffee. So I want to jump right into the topic today, because the topic for today is Friday. It's Friday. You only have, approximately 55 days left of this year, and then this year is behind us, right? So I want to definitely share some strategies, a genuine tool, and I'm going to share something from the manuscript. Hear clearly, one more time. I'm going to share something very clear for you on TikTok, for you on Facebook, and for you on YouTube. Listen closely, because I don't want you to miss this. So I'm looking back every single month. I'm looking back at what can I do as a father, as a husband, as an educator. I'm always thinking about what can I implement that's going to bring, again, some new change, not just unto the lives under my roof, but I'm thinking about other people, right? That's where leadership comes from. It rises and falls. Everything I've ever learned, and over February 14th, 6 years in coming, 6 years in being able to say, hey, I'm a testimony of the transformation. I'm a testimony of seeing what God can truly do when you discipline, when you show up with consistency, because everybody knows when you have consistency in your life, it becomes habit. One more time. When you have consistency in your life, it becomes not just habit, but it also becomes discipline. And when you have discipline in your life, you now are changing your life. I know, right? Why, Sagasta? Why you gotta be so deep? Yo, that's the reality. That's the truth. And if you're tuning in right now, it's because you want to hear some truth. You might get your toes stepped on. That's the reality. Life is not about being sugarcoated. Life is not about having the easy way, the easy route. I know that many people have been conditioned and conformed to the easy route. But the reality, the genuine normality and nature of life is it's a process. Like the acorn, like the wheat plant, like the universe, like everything you see has a process behind it. Even, yes, the human body has a process in growing and developing. How we treat it is another gift back to the Creator. Okay, so hear me out. I'm going to share something with you real deep. And again, for those people on TikTok, for those people on YouTube and on Facebook, today's title is The Promise. The Promise. The Promise. The Promise, okay? So listen here. I'm, again, going back every single month. For the last 6 years, I have promised, I have made a vow, a decree that every single day I would go through the book of Proverbs until I have come to condition my mind as well as my soul and spirit to master it. Did you hear what I said? That was my promise and my creed, that I would get to the point where I would master that book. Now, how many coaches, how many mentors, how many leaders do you hear talk about the mastery? Not that many, right? The reality, not that many. So that was my creed, and I now share it with you. At some point, at some intersection of your life, you're going to want to make a creed, a self creed, a self resolution, a self promise. Listen, I know because, hey, I already know from experience. I know from experience. 30 years of living the drifter life. 30 years of living the average life. 30 years of chasing nothing, chasing my own shadow. I get it. Believe me, I've been there. I've been there. But I'm looking at Job's life. Okay? Yes, you're going to get you're going to get some word right here. It says this, and again, I am truly enjoying and incumbent by what Job's life was like. And for those on TikTok, those on Facebook, those on YouTube that don't know the book of Job, this man lost it all. You know, many of us have lost a home. I lost my home. I lost my parents. I've lost two great friends throughout the COVID that committed suicide. I've lost some I've lost some things. But when it comes to Job's life, I don't come not even close. Not even close. You get what I'm saying? Watch this. He says, he openeth his ear to discipline and commandeth to return from iniquity. Now, for those that don't know what iniquity is, that's sin, that's transgressions, that's the things that we continuously, monotonously do that doesn't bring any genuine pleasure. Again, God gave you a gift, but are you walking in your gifts? Are you walking in your talents? The question of today, again, the question of today is, am I truly, genuinely, and authentically walking in my gift? My purpose, my mission today. All right, that's today's question for you as the viewer, the sharer of this feed, right? But he goes on to say this. He says, I like this part because he says, if thou obey and serve, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure. Let me back up on this. You will spend your life in prosperity and in pleasure. And for those that don't know, I said this earlier, but when you do something continuously and it brings pleasure to you, that then becomes a habit. Whoa. One more time. I know that was deep. Many of you guys were like, what? If it brings pleasure to you, it becomes a habit. Yes, smoking. Smoking. It brings pleasure to people, so they keep on doing it. I know, I told you I was going to step on some toes. Negativism. Oh, watching Fox News, watching CNN, watching MSN. Go so caught up. Your mind is so caught up with all the noise, all the distractions, that you're reeling, again, in the gift. I told you I was going to step on some toes. That's the reality. Don't think, to the top of your cerebral cortex, to the bottom of the soles of your feet. Believe me when I tell you, he specifically says this. He says, and if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity. For some apparent reason, human beings have been conditioned and conformed to believe that prosperity was all the money in the world. Prosperity was all the diamonds in the world. Prosperity was treating people with, again, like dirt. For some apparent reason, human condition, my daughter's reading this book. My daughter is reading this book. Oh, listen, I'm dead serious. The book's title, okay, hold on. Good Student, Bad School. That's the book she's reading. And she reads that nightly. She has to read it before the family. You see what I'm saying? I know I might be the only crazy parent to ask their kid to read in front of the family at night. I might just be the only one out here. And that's all right. I'm okay with being unique. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with disciplining my children. That way they become great. Because what does it say here? He says, if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure. At some point, at some intersection, at some wave, the tidal wave, at some point, In life, you get to a point where you understand that when anything that I do becomes pleasure, it becomes a habit. I don't need an alarm clock to wake me up at 3 a.m. That's already here. I've conditioned my mind over the course of 5 strong committed years. Wake up at 3 a.m., meditate, study, educate yourself, become a master in areas that most people won't. You get what I'm saying? Spend more time. When my students ask me, Sagasta, why do you read? I say, why don't I want to read? That's the question you ought to be asking. Why wouldn't I read? Why wouldn't I take a few more minutes to educate myself in an area that I might find interesting? I told this young lady last night, she's a student, she's a college student. I said, what are you majoring in? She says, I'm majoring in biology. I said, that's phenomenal, that's great. I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she looked around and she's like, I'm 19. What do you mean? You ain't growing up yet. What do you want to be when you grow up? Okay, backing up. I'm asking questions. I'm looking for answers. Does an individual know hindsight? Not just the vision with the eyes, but the vision with the mind and heart. Where do I want to be? What do I want to do? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to strike that energy, that spark. Why? Because prosperity, again, he says right here, he says, obey. Obey the laws, obey the natural laws, obey God's laws, obey, and serve him. And they shall spend days of prosperity. Over the course of 5 years, coming up on 6 years, I have seen, and I'm saying this as a testimony, don't think me ill and don't judge me, but I have seen the prosperity and I'm thankful to God Almighty. In that strong 21 years of relationship with my wife, in the 21 years of raising our children, in the 10 strong committed years of seeing students that I have coached and mentored blossom and see the other side of prosperity. Again, everybody in life has been conditioned in some form or another. Some form or another. The conditioning could be good, the conditioning could be bad. The pleasure could be good, the pleasure could be bad. You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to share this message with you real quick. I want you to think on these 7 points, and these 7 points only. The promise of a habit. Remember, the promise of a habit is pleasure. It's pleasurable. It brings pleasure. Whether it's drinking coffee, no sugar in my coffee. Pleasure, is it music? Again, pleasure. The promise of habit and the power behind it. The second one, very simple. If you're writing this down, the promise of learning. Today's readers, tomorrow's leaders. Today's readers, tomorrow's leaders. 1 in 12 people today will finish a book from cover to cover. I just finished my 50th book yesterday. Not to be boastful, not to be prideful. Listen, not to impress any one of you, but to press upon you. You have the time. If you woke up today, I would be looking for the book I need to make my life more happier and more successful. That, if I was in your shoes, that's what I would be doing. But I already do that. You get what I'm saying? Okay. All right. So again, learning. The next one is listening. If there's anything I've ever learned in this whole genuine arena of professional development and personal development and just growing, it would be listening. I remember Dr. Eric Thomas. I don't know how many people. There was probably like 5,000 individuals there. I remember standing up and looking a fool in front of 5,000 people. You have to shut up and listen. You have to listen. The greatest skill known today is communication. The greatest skill is communication. And most people think that communication is speaking. It's not just speaking, it's listening. How are you going to share anything you don't really know if you don't shut up and listen? You feel me? All right, the next one is very simple. The promise of purpose. The purpose. Why do you wake up in the morning? Again, that purpose. The purpose. You're on a mission in life. I don't know what it is. Only you do. But if you comment below, that'd be cool. But nonetheless, you're able to distinguish and profoundly know your purpose. What is your purpose? What is the purpose? Most people, they got a purpose and it's just work the 9-to-5 job. Some people's purpose is to open up a bakery or open up a coffee store. Some people's purpose is to open up a brandy store. Nonetheless, you have a purpose. You'll know what that purpose is when you truly are so passionate and you pour a lot of love into it and you have a lot of affection toward that purpose. Okay. The next one I have to give is giving. And giving. The promise of giving. As he said here, serve. If you serve, if you obey, I'm going to give you prosperity and pleasure. I'm going to give you prosperity and pleasure. So what brings me pleasure? Oh man, great books. Me and my daughter spent like $16. $16. That was with a $2 donation. But we spent $16 on over $1,000 of information. Over $1,000 or more when it comes to great information. So again, that now makes 510 books in our house. Yeah, again, I'm beside myself. I'm excited. So giving. The next one again is the promise of love. If you love something enough, you'll do whatever at any cost to do what needs to be done. Real simple. That promise of love. The promise of love. When I think about a tree, when I think about love, I think about what you pour into other people. You always get something back in return when you pour into other people. Listen, my name is Coach Frank Sagasta. I'm honored, privileged, and blessed to be with you guys. I hope that you have a great and genuine and prosperous day. Always remember, okay, whether you're on TikTok, Facebook, or on YouTube, make every single day a masterpiece.